Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into the first Autumn 2023 Season 1 Roundup from GavsWeatherVids. So here we go, we're going to get 15 long-range models together from the world's leading forecast centres to see what they're all showing for the Autumn 2023 for the first time this season, and I shall get on with that for you in a moment. Just to say that first video today was our 6 AM UK weather forecast. We've also got weekend forecast and a 10 to 14 day coming up for you later on today as well. So please like, share and subscribe on all of today's videos. And thank you so very much everybody for doing that. Thank you Shadow Richard for the incredible Autumn 2023 updates gifts. Not one but two this season. Thank you so much, Rich, for our gifts. So we will be naming the fox and the owl, definitely, in the coming weeks. Thank you so much, my friend. I love both of our gifts this year. Okay, let's have a look then, shall we? So we're going to start off with Cansips. Here we go. This is the mean cell pressure anomaly for Autumn 2023 from Cansips. And we can see we've got some lower pressure out in the Atlantic, some high-ish pressure just to our east, but it does look a little bit sort of low pressure dominated there, I think, with those blue colours, pale blue colours, admittedly, in the Atlantic. So the temperature anomaly for this autumn is significantly warmer than average. There's absolutely no problem with the temperature, still quite strongly forecast to be above average there. And precipitation-wise, it does look a little bit wetter than average just to our west and northwest, near normal elsewhere. But I think that could be into a bit of an unsettled autumn to come. Keep in mind, it's a 3-monthly anomaly, and that's the case with all of these charts that you're going to see. So something like a dry start to the autumn could be going on, a very dry, very dry September and a very wet November, offsetting one another. Something like that could be going on with these. So you have to keep that in mind, Joe, when you're talking about 3-monthly anomalies. Right, let's have a look at the NMME suite of models then, starting with NASA first of all. So this is how NASA is forecasting temperature anomaly for the autumn, and it's significantly above average in those deep red colours there. That's like 1 to 2 degrees above normal. Precipitation for this autumn, again similar to like Kansas, it's really a bit wetter than average just out to our west and northwest, nearer normal or no signal actually for the UK itself. This is GM, Nemo, and this one going for slightly above average temperatures in those cream sort of colours. That's about half a degree above normal, something like that. Now the GM also going for slightly above average rainfall just out to the west of the country. NCAR, again, looks near normal to slightly above average for temperatures for the autumn of 2023. And near normal or slightly above average rainfall, especially so, again, to the north and the west. So the NMME suite model, all seem to be seen for the same hymn sheet, rather warmer than average, but a little bit on the unsettled side, particularly so for more northern and western regions. Moving on to the IRI multi-model probability forecast for the autumn of 2023. This is how temperature probabilities are coming out. So rather a bizarre sort of pattern this or probability forecast. So Scotland is forecast to have quite strong probabilities of a colder than average autumn by about 50% or so. Ireland, England and Wales forecast to have a milder or warmer than average autumn by about 40 to 45%. So quite what sort of pattern would deliver quite a strong signal to be cold average of Scotland and warm average in England and Wales. I'm not sure, but that's what it's showing this month anyway. Remember, IRI, by the way, is coming from Columbia Climate School. It's the International Research Institute for Climate and Society. Precipitation-wise, we look like this with no signal reef, but it is a little bit wetter than average through the channel and just into the far north of France there, but really no signal, not just for us, but from most parts of Europe, actually very weak signals for precipitation. Patalpeng's analogues next is a 200 millibar height anomaly forecast from Patalpeng for the autumn of 2023, suggesting quite a bit of high pressure above average heights in the North Atlantic and over the UK and back into northern parts of Europe as well. Temperature anomalies for the autumn predicted to be average to slightly above, not a particularly warm autumn indicated there, actually just near normal to ever so slightly above, probably within half a degree of average. And a relatively dry autumn could be on the way as well, though Ireland looks a little bit wetter, but if we come over here, you can see most parts of Western Europe are actually coming out drier than average. So I would have thought with high pressure close by, a relatively dryish autumn would be likely there. And then finally for the North American models, we've got CFS V2, so this is 700 millibar height anomaly forecast from the CFS for autumn 2023 with some above average heights to our east and northeast, some lower pressure probably in the Atlantic where we've got that white area. The temperature anomaly is above average from the CFS for the whole of Europe, really. UK and Ireland is included in that. In those orange colours, so that's about half a degree, 1 degree above normal. And precipitation, again, quite weak signals, but could hint at being a little bit on the wetter side through some of these western parts of Europe. We have got the green splotches. Green splotches all over the place. So that could indicate a rather wetter autumn, but relatively mild. Okay, that's it for the North American models. Coming over to Europe, let's have a look at what the European models are forecasting, starting off with ECMWF. So this means pressure anomaly from the ECMWF model for autumn 2023. Plenty of low pressure in the Atlantic, so looks a little bit on the unsettled side there. The temperature anomaly is above average in those orange colours, red colours close to us, so either half a degree to 1 degree or 1 to 2 degrees above average, but it looks mild or quite warm autumn. Does look a little bit wet, especially so in the Atlantic just to the west of Ireland. Significantly above average rainfall there. Moving on to the Copernicus suite, we start off with Meteo France, and this was actually placing low pressure over the UK and Ireland for the mean sea level pressure anomaly with a ridge out in the Atlantic. The temperature anomaly from Meteo France is forecast to be above average in those orange colours, not excessively warm, but half a degree to 1 degree above normal. Also a little bit unsettled as well, with above average rainfall, particularly focused to our south, actually, across France and in the Atlantic. But I think, we're under the trough of low pressure, obviously, it is likely to be quite an unsettled autumn if that comes off. GWD has been trough of low pressure a little bit to our west in the Atlantic. Still looks as though that would be quite unsettled, though, with light winds coming in from a southwesterly direction. It's a warm autumn being predicted by the DWD in those red colours. That's 1-2 degrees above average. And as far as precipitation is concerned, again, over and slightly to the west of the country, we see that it is wetter than north. The North Atlantic looking quite wet there. On to ECCC, again, we see low pressure in the Atlantic. There's some sort of high pressure quite close to the south of Greenland as well. So that one hints at a little bit of blocking, actually, in the North Atlantic, possibly forcing that low pressure a bit further southwards. The temperature, not only from the DWD, again, it's above average in the orange and or red colours. We're all going for quite a warm autumn. And again, we see rather above average precipitation, especially across the north and the west of the UK and Ireland out into the Atlantic. CMCC, again, that's that trough of low pressure in the Atlantic. Many of these models are forecasting low pressure in the Atlantic, you'll notice, for this autumn. That could be down to the warmer than average sea surface temperature anomalies that we've got at the moment. Now we've got a very warm Atlantic, so when we combine that with the jet stream beginning to pick up as we go into the autumn, as it undoubtedly will, due to the, temperature contrast between the pole and the tropics, as the jet stream always gets more active in the autumn. That combined with the really warm Atlantic Ocean at the moment might produce quite a lot of low pressure. So that it will be something to watch out for. Like the Copernicus models, European models are going for that. Again, we see above average temperatures forecast there in those orange colours, half a degree to 1 degree above normal. And again, we see above average rainfall indicated, particularly to our north and also to our west. And then we've got the JMA, mean sea pressure anomaly from the Japanese Meteorological Agency. This one also has low pressure in the Atlantic. But the difference is it has a stronger high pressure over Scandinavia. It's kind of blocking off the Atlantic. So this will bring in more of an easterly wind for the autumn. Of course, easterlies in September will be quite warm, but easterlies in November could actually be quite cold. The temperature anomaly is above average with the JMA. Again, half a degree to 1 degree above normal. And precipitation-wise, you notice how the wet area is a bit further away from us, out into the central part of the Atlantic, really. And it is actually a little bit drier just to our east. Otherwise, we've got no signal. We're kind of in a no man's land between low pressure and the Scandinavian high. Keeping the Asian theme going, we'll have a look at the Beijing Climate Centre. So this is a 500 millibar height anomaly from the BCC. This is the penultimate model, by the way. If you enjoyed this season roundup, then please can you like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much for doing that. 500 millibar height anomaly for a Beijing Climate Centre with above average heights ridging in from the Atlantic into western parts of Europe. 200 millibar height anomaly also shows that area of above average heights to our west and to our southwest as well. Temperature anomaly is a little bit above average, not particularly warm, but slightly above normal by about half a degree to 1 degree. And precipitation, if anything, looks a little bit on the drier side, which I suppose you expect, I should say, with that area of high pressure ridging up from the Azores. And then finally, we've got our very own UK Met Office. So this in some ways is similar to the JMA, actually. It has more in way of high pressure over Scandinavia with a mean sea pressure anomaly, but unlike the JMA, it has low pressure close to or into the country, actually probably bringing in easterly winds, but could be quite wet, especially so for more southern and western parts of the country. A warmer than average autumn is predicted. All models, you'll notice, are going for a warmer than average autumn, except for IRI, which has it cold and average for Scotland in terms of its probability forecast. But other than that, the rest of them are all above average. So another warmer than average autumn is favoured. But also, a lot of these models are quite unsettled. UK Met, no exception, with above average rainfall indicated there. Looking particularly wet just to our west and southwest, actually. If we start bringing in deep areas of low pressure from the west and from the southwest, then, we could be game on for quite a wet season. Okay, that's it then for the first autumn 2023 season model roundup. So what do you make of that? I think we can clearly see, but we've got a signal for a warmer than average autumn, and a lot of those models, especially the European ones, North American ones to some degree, but it's more strong with the European models. A lot of them are looking quite unsettled, quite wet for this autumn. Certainly some quite deep low pressure in the Atlantic. So a warm and wet autumn is like the theme, I think, of this first update. But it is only update number 1. We've got 2 more of these to do. One at the end of October. No, what I'm talking about. One at the end of July and one at the end of August, just before we release our autumn forecast. So we'll see what update number 2 has to say. But for the first update, normally the first update, the signal is rather patchy, and you get a lot of different scenarios playing out in the first autumn. We've actually got quite a strong signal for a first update, so we'll be interested to see if that's maintained for the second update. You'll find out in July. Okay, thank you so much to Richard for the amazing autumn updates gift. Thank you so much, my friend. And thank you all for watching. If you have enjoyed this autumn 2023 season model roundup number 1, please like, share, subscribe. I'll be back shortly with weekend forecast and a 10 to 14 dayer. But for this one, that's all for now. And thanks for watching.